world is going on? Test, test, test. That's that one. There we go. We good now. All right.
Good evening, everybody. We're back again.
We're back again. We're back
Gonna
again.
try this again.
Lord have mercy.
So, if you missed it, we are discussing tonight. Let me go back to it. So, we're in a series, and we are currently discussing the Conversations We Never Had series. We're discussing intimacy, connection, and vulnerability. So, we're talking about emotional intimacy, and one of the main things with emotional um, intimacy requires us to be vulnerable. And so, we were just getting into the fact that vulnerability often feels dangerous because it activates the brain's threat detection system, triggering the fight or flight mechanism, which is also used most commonly for physical survival. So, Mr. Henderson, what are your thoughts on vulnerability coming from a man's perspective?
So we're back into a vulnerability, just as I was saying a little bit earlier. I think is a word that seems as though it might be for some a cuss word, and for some it's just something that it's very hard for them to be able to discuss, talk about, or even say. When you put yourself in a state of vulnerability, you put yourself in a position to where you have opened up yourself to others in a way that would leave you in a sense, an easy target. You're an easy target for ridicule, or can be. You can be an easy target for people to look at you differently. You can be an easy target for many different things. I mean, of course, the flip side of that is that if you have somebody that's understanding and different things of that nature, then they may be able to accept, all of your flaws and everything else. But one of the things that I did mention was that for men, when it comes to men and it comes to vulnerability, that's a hard thing to do, because putting ourselves in a position of where we're open and that we actually have decided that we're going to tell the truth about some of the things that we've encountered, especially in past relationships, it may paint us to be a villain in some sort. And so people will look at you, like you're a villain. And you have that capability of being able to have that happen to you when you do that. But I believe that if you're going to be open and honest and you're going to really be with somebody, then give them the choice to be able to decide whether or not they want to be with you, due to some of the things that you may have done in your past. Because at the end of the day, everybody has a past. Sometimes people just don't tell all, and that's understandable in a sense as well.
So, in doing some research, the research states that vulnerability puts you in a dangerous space because you want to fight or flight. You want to protect yourself. Vulnerability always, when you're trying to be vulnerable or when you're wanting to be vulnerable, it requires you to take down the walls, to be open and honest, and to be very intimate with someone else. And I think that vulnerability is one of the main components of any relationship, whether
Absolutely.
that be a romantic relationship, whether that be a friendship, any type of ship. I think that vulnerability is very important. I also think that it can be very hard. I think for me and for a lot of women that I discuss or talk to, or have had discussions on this topic, vulnerability means or requires a safe space. And so in my um in my history or in my findings, I think that having a safe space is a requirement for both men and for women.
I agree.
I think that before you can have emotional intimacy, you have to be able to be vulnerable and you have to have a safe space. And so part of providing that safe space means that you have to be willing to be open, you have to be willing to listen, and you have to make sure that you're listening with ears that are non-judgmental
Right.
and that there's a piece of confidentiality. And so those are also things I think sometimes when you think of being vulnerable with someone, it's always, well, is my information or what I'm going to say, is that going to be safe with that person? Is
Hmm.
that person going to keep it? Is that person going to share what what I'm sharing with them? Are they going to tell someone else? So I think that those are things that you have to be when you're choosing to be vulnerable, you have to be careful who you're vulnerable with. That's where I'm going.
That is an A plus statement, and I believe that that's another reason why vulnerability is such a hard issue for a lot of people. Is because when you actually do take the chance and you open yourself up to be vulnerable to somebody, you are actually taking a gamble. You don't know what that person is going to do. You don't
This
know
is
how
true.
they're going to respond. You don't know how they're going to react. You don't know if they're going to even, run your business. And so because of that, I believe that that's one of the main reasons why people shy away from being vulnerable. But I would say this, that I think before you just really engage in conversation like that, and I know this probably will be unpopular when I say this, give yourself some time with that person before you just really divulge a whole lot of your information.
Definitely. I think you have to know the person that you're wanting to be vulnerable with. I think at this big age, as we mature, we learn that everything is not for everybody. So you have to be careful.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of times people are hesitant to be vulnerable because of past trauma or past issues. You've gone through something, you've shared something with someone, and then at some point it's been either shared or thrown back in your face. And we have to be very careful when people are entrusting us with their information and their deepest secrets and their vulnerabilities and their insecurities that we keep that safe and close to us,
Right.
that we provide a safety net for that person that's sharing.
Right. Safe spaces are vital. They are vitally important. I can just think just over my life and being in relationships throughout my life where there was some that I could definitely say, you know what, nah, I probably shouldn't have opened myself up like that, to a person or to that particular person or whatever. Only because again, it's just one of those gambles that you take. And if you really like that person and you really want to be with that person, and it doesn't even have to be somebody from a relationship standpoint. It could be somebody that you just cool with, that you are friends with, that you guys click, you vibe, you have great times together and everything else. Um, it's just it's a catch 22 because you really don't know unless a person just blatantly shows you who they are in the very beginning. I mean, and that's shooting past the representative.
It's always a gamble. It's a gamble,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's a chance that we take as individuals who are committing to something or someone.
absolutely.
Statistically, it says with regard to emotional intimacy and vulnerability, that men are frequently socialized to suppress emotions to maintain an image of toughness, while high achievers may feel they must maintain a facade of constant competence.
Wow,
So men are raised to believe that they don't need to be vulnerable because that makes you weak.
I can see that.
So, Mr. I can see that.
I can see
In
that.
my experience in relationships, men want to know everything about the woman. Tell me your secrets. Tell me this. Tell me that. But they have a wall up and don't want to share. So how do we as individuals, as couples,
Mhm.
as just people, how do we as the female species provide a space and an opportunity for men to not only want to be vulnerable, but to allow themselves to be vulnerable?
I think what ends up happening.
Before you answer that, all the men that are listening, I want you to get in the comments and tell me what do you require in order to be vulnerable, or what is it that you feel you need in order to be vulnerable? And women, you can chime in as well.
I would say, and I don't speak for all men, let me preface this, but I believe that what I'm going to say, there are going to be quite a few men that will probably agree. I think what ends up happening is for men over time, as we go through whatever we're going through with whomever it is that we're going through with, I think innately what we do, and it's, unconsciously or subconsciously, we, for lack of a better term, we test. We test that person that we want to be with. We test that person that we want to have a relationship with. And what I mean by that is that in the very beginning, no, we don't say a whole lot about our past. We don't just become open books and things like that. But I think over time, as I know for me, I can speak for us. I know for me, um, one of the things that made me feel as though I could see and view as an open space or a safe space was, as time went on and I saw that you were wanting to really communicate and you were really wanting to dialogue with me. I gave you a piece of my past or a piece of whatever it was. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And I threw it out there and I waited. And I wasn't even necessarily like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to test her."
It sound like a
No, no,
test.
no, no. I'm saying, like I
Just
said,
playing, just playing,
subconsciously, I
just
don't think
playing.
I think it just happens like that for men. Imma give you this little bit, out here, and then Imma see what happens with it. I'm gonna see if, you gonna run back and you gonna tell somebody and it's gonna come back to me. Not saying that you would do that. Um, I'm going to see if when a situation becomes heated, are you gonna throw that back up in my face? Because I think that's one of the main reasons why men don't really like to be vulnerable, because we're in a day and time where it gets weaponized. And not every woman does that.
Mm,
Not every woman does that.
but
But
this is
there are
true.
some women who will weaponize the vulnerability
The
of a
soft
man,
space.
that soft space. And
Yes.
so for me, when I did that with you and I saw, oh, this isn't being thrown back up in my face. Oh, you know, I haven't heard, ain't nobody came back to me, saying nothing about anything. You know what I'm saying? Well, okay.
I'm laughing because I was gonna crack a joke, but
You
I'm
know,
being
but
serious.
but yeah, I mean, I was able to see with something, even though it was small, it was important to me.
Right.
I was able to see, oh, well, you know what? If I can tell her this, then maybe I can tell her this, and so on and so forth. And that's for me how I believe it was easier for me to be able to learn and to want to communicate.
And it's funny because it's funny how men see things differently than women when it comes to vulnerability. So I was thinking of a specific situation with you and I. And it wasn't necessarily me saying something, it was an experience. And I can remember
See, see, this is what I'm talking about.
I can remember being so mad at you because you had left, but you came back.
I know what it is.
So, yeah, my hair was all over my head, and, yeah, that was just not a situation I was ready for him at the moment. I felt exposed. And he was so used to, seeing me, like, with braids or weave or maybe even the wig. I don't know if wigs was
But
a
and
big
it's
in-style
a
thing then.
reason why you were like that, but we
But
ain't gotta get into that.
it was just like
What is you doing back here? I
and
thought you
but
left.
it was but there I was, exposed. And I was so angry at first. Like I went into a panic,
For real.
but it was so much better after that moment because I felt like, oh well, he knows now, so let's see what happens. And it became a very soft and safe space. I think it was a turning point in our relationship
Absolutely. For you, yes, for sure.
because you were so like, what? I mean, you just kinda went on like, "It is what it is, whatever. I mean, if you go be my woman, this is just what it is." You know what I'm saying? And so, I say all that to say, even in little things, cosmetic things that we like for me, maybe it's not all women, but cosmetically speaking, you have to be vulnerable. Your
Yeah.
insecurities, and maybe that's where I'm going with this, is even in your insecurities, when you think that they done left the house and they come back, girl, get your key to your husband so he can come back in your
And you know what? And we're gonna go to some comments because
Oh
I see some
god.
people chiming in. But I
But
wanna
that
say
immediately made me go there because that was a turning point in our relationship.
and I wanna say this. I think, and this is huge, what I'm getting ready to say. The way that I responded to that situation is what made it easier
Yes.
for you to be able to accept it,
Yes.
because some people don't their response, especially if it's a first response, that can make or break
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
situation like that.
Yeah.
And that can put a person in a state where they're just like, "You know what? Mm-mm,
Right.
no,"
Right.
because this is how you responded to this, and this was for me a very sore, very delicate spot.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
came in and I saw it and you were flipping all loud and, "Oh my god, what are you doing there?" And I'm just like, "Babe, it's
And you know, the
okay."
funny part about it is my son was there, and he was just in shock, like,
Yeah, it was wild.
'cause there was no turning back at the moment.
I mean, it was what it was. I done walked in and you
But what we say all that to say that we have insecurities, we have vulnerabilities,
absolutely.
you work through them, life gets better, things change. It's not even an issue anymore because it's not even an issue, but being vulnerable can make or break your relationship.
Right.
And so I guess that's what I wanna share is that being vulnerable specifically for us has strengthened our relationship because I know at my worst, my husband still loves me. I know that at my worst, he accepts me, and I know that my secrets are safe with him, and he the
And
same
vice
way.
versa.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to some of these comments. Anthony Coleman says, "Some of us have been did so wrong in the past, it's hard to be vulnerable. Not saying that we don't want to, it's just we're affected in ways where we need time to shake it off." And I would totally agree. There are times when things happen in our life, especially when it comes to being in a relationship that is a deep relationship or even a marriage, where you go through some things and for whatever reason that marriage didn't pan out. And you are like really, really, really struggling with the things that happened to you. One of the things that I think helped me with my divorce, and everybody knows, I mean, this ain't, no new knowledge. Um, One of the things that helped me to be able to work through my divorce for me so that I could be able to be better and heal so that I could get to the next place of wherever it was that I was trying to be in my life as far as a mate and everything else. One of the things that I had to do is I had to look at myself and take accountability, because did I do everything right? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that I cheated or nothing like that before y'all even try to speculate, because it wasn't nothing like that. But I did not do everything right. And so for me to be able to get past what somebody else did to me, I had to look at me. Okay, well, maybe this person may have reacted this way because of because I did this.
Mhm.
Or it could have just been that, they just reacted that way just because that's just the type of person that they are. So it was twofold. I had to work on what I did, but I also had to just say, you know what? Let me chop this up to the game. This is just how that person was. There's nothing I can do about it now because this is the past. If I'm going to move forward, I can't keep looking in the rear view. I
This is
can't.
true.
So that's how that works.
This is true.
Daphne Harris, she says, "I've mastered the art of sharing just enough to where an individual believes I told them a great deal. Y'all, this is my cousin, and I know she has done this. This method allows me to see if that irrelevant but presented in a relevant way, information makes its way to others and subsequently back to me.
Yeah,
Wow.
throw a bone and see if it's caught, and if it boomerangs back, you already know.
Which is exactly what I was saying earlier,
And you
about
have to be careful. Again, vulnerability, I want everybody to think about this in a holistic manner, not just, marriages or coupled relationships or anything that this applies to family,
friends,
it applies to friends,
all of that
and it's amazing how when disagreements arise, the information
changes.
it changes. You
Yeah,
kinda see some of your vulnerabilities and some of your insecurities or things that have been shared, it boomerangs back to you.
right. A
And then you know that that is was never a safe space.
it's almost like when we were little and we used to play, and I don't know if you played this game, but I can remember being in elementary school and there was this game we used to play where the teacher would tell one student a sentence, and it could be something short, and you got a classroom of maybe like 25 kids. And by the time it got to that last child, that thing was so
It
tore
was
up.
nowhere
It
near
was
enough.
it was so tore up and so jacked up that it wasn't even what was originally said. And that's kind of like how it is, in life. That's why it's so important, for you to be able to gauge. And a lot of the time, you are not going to be able to gauge unless you spend some time with that person.
And even then, in maturity, we learn that even when you've spent time and sometimes years with people, you still don't know.
Right.
That there's always that one situation, that one person that proves
Yeah,
your trust and vulnerability to be wrong.
absolutely. Monique Brown says, being vulnerable is how you build intimacy within the relationship, which is totally 100% true. Vulnerability is everything. But again, we don't want to just beat, browbeat vulnerability. There's other facets of intimacy that we're definitely going to
And
talk
what we're
about.
talking about is emotional intimacy. So
Yes.
Monique is very correct in intimacy requires vulnerability, and we're not just talking about physical intimacy. We're just talking about being able to have an intimate relationship
Right.
with someone, being able to talk to someone with no walls up, being able to share with someone without any barriers, any fears, any type of inhibitants, anything holding you back
Right.
from being bare and naked about who and what you are or
Right.
what's even going on in your life.
Right.
So how do you get to the state of emotional intimacy? I'll say for one, for me, we will never get to the intimate side of anything if I feel like the space is not safe.
Wow.
And that's for me. If the space is not safe.
But I don't want to. I know that that's your take because of the conversations that we've had,
Mhm.
but the more that I think about it, I honestly believe that that might be for, I don't wanna say all women because I don't wanna put all women in a box because some women may not think that, but I will say probably maybe 90%, and I'm just giving a guesstimation on it, but like 90% of women, that's probably how they think. Because how in the world can I, and we talking grown talk, how can I engage with you sexually and be intimate with you in that way if I can't even really be intimate with you emotionally? Because men, if we just being honest, we out there, we hunting, trying to do what we trying to do and trying to get it in with whomever or whatever. And you might have, those two or fews that may, what I'm saying, for whatever reason, fall into that thing, man. And there you go. You didn't, did what you didn't did with that person. But anybody, honestly, I believe that wants to be with somebody and be in a relationship, if that person is worth their salt, and I'm not down in anybody for anything that they do. It's 2026. Everybody has their own different views. But anybody that's worth their salt and wanting to be in a relationship is just not going to let you just fall in like that without some type of a connection. And for women, that's a major key. I can't do what I need to do for you if you can't connect to me here and here.
And I also feel like on top of a safe space, I need to feel there's a need for reciprocity. So if I'm sharing, are you sharing? I wanna feel like I'm giving you all of my innermost thoughts, feelings, secrets, whatever, but I feel like it should be the same. So I'm not coming to a space where I'm sharing and you're not willing to share. And then we walk away and I feel like I've given you everything about me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the insecurities, the vulnerabilities, and you just sat there and listened without partaking in the conversation. And so I think that that's also a requirement when being emotionally
Yes.
vulnerable with someone.
And that's where you have to learn the
Because how do we connect if we can't share? How do you not share
yeah,
and still believe that you're connecting? And when I say sharing, I'm meaning sharing open and honest.
right.
If you're not sharing, how are you connecting? Because just sex? I mean, let's just go and keep it 100.
Come on.
Are we just sharing because it's just sex? And then you supposed, oh, we vulnerable? That ain't vulnerability. Vulnerability is not required to have sex with somebody.
And it's not going to sustain.
Bottom line.
It's not going to sustain at all.
So how do we provide? How do we continue? How do we help people understand the connection with emotional stability and vulnerability and be open to that where it's not one-sided?
I think what you have to do, and this goes, for women more than men, because I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that women are way, way more open than men are. I believe that that's just a fact, and nobody can ever make me change, my mind on that. But I would say that I believe that, and I know this is gonna sound bad, and brothers is probably gonna be like, "Man, I can't believe you said that." But I believe that there comes a point where a woman has to actually realize when she has given and she is recognizing that that person is just taking and they're not really giving like you want them to or like they should. I believe, one, that you should express, hey, I don't feel like you giving me more, but two, I think you ought to be able to pull back and ration too.
Mhm. I agree there.
I think you should be able to ration. Okay, well, I've been pouring out. I've been letting you know. I've been opening myself and making myself available to you in a way that is literally putting me in a position of being a target. And I'm out here on this limb while you're back here. I'm on this limb way out here where it could snap at any minute because of the weight, but you're back here where the limb is still connected to, the
It's
the the, the
safe.
trunk of the tree,
You stay
and,
safe.
and you
You're
good.
grounded.
No, at some point, if you deem that woman as a man, if you deem that woman worth anything, you got to be able to open up. You have to, because there comes a point where something is going to happen. I'm telling you what I know, and it's going to require you to either fight or flight. It's going to be one of the two.
So why do people either fight or why do they fight?
I think people, I mean, for me, fighting, using us as an example, and I've said this before, when it came to a point to where I understood that this relationship with you for me was vastly different than any other relationship that I have been in. And I felt in my heart of hearts, after some prayer and some other things, you know what? This is it. This is it. This is the one. I'm going to have to do something that I've never really had to do before. And this is it's a deal breaker, because you can only be with a person that is a communicator so long and not learn to communicate that
And you
either
did not like it.
I
You fought this
hated it.
entire time.
Y'all. But again, she's a communicator. At the time, I was not. I was the type of person who, and there's a lot of people that's on here that know this. I was the type of person where I'm not getting ready. My famous words, I'm not getting ready to argue with you. I felt as though a conversation was an argument. And so because of that, I just wasn't gonna do it. I know me, I can get hot-headed at times. I'm pretty mild, but there are times where I can get hot-headed. But I had to realize, okay, you know what? This person is a communicator. Baby's a communicator. She wants to talk. There's something, for whatever reason, that makes her want to know like the inward parts of me. So now, Norris, what are you gonna
Norris would
do?
get up and go home.
Man, look, and
I'm not gonna do this with you.
I'm
And
not
he'd
gonna
drive
do this
all the
with
way back to
you.
his apartment.
I'm not
Okay.
I'm not
But when
gonna
you
do it.
get there, I'm gonna call you and we still gonna talk.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go home. I don't have to be and let's just be honest. For me, my apartment was a safe space. That was security for me. I didn't have to be in your face. So
Mhm.
I felt safe in that situation when I could say, you know what, I'm going home. I'm going back to my
We went through
house.
a lot of flight moments.
I'm going back to
A
my house.
lot of flight
And we
moments.
both did. Let's just keep it a bug. It wasn't
Yeah,
just
we
me.
went through a lot of
We
flight
both
moments.
went through a lot of flight moments. And honestly, it just got to a point to where I had to make up in my mind if I'm going to really be with her for real, and I see all of this good stuff and I see all of these great qualities. If I'm going to be with her, it's time for me to mature in this particular area and grow up and have the hard conversations, say the hard thing, verbalize it. And I know it's not going to be easy. I don't know which direction it's going to go, but you know what? She's worth it for me. So this is what I'm going to do. Thank God that even though, some of that stuff wasn't the greatest, it wasn't well, nah, It took a lot of work. It took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of conversation. It
A
took a
lot
lot
of
of vulnerability,
patience
a lot of
and a
patience,
lot of grace.
and a lot of love to get there. And
And
so,
we still work on it.
absolutely, every
We
day,
still work on it.
every
We still
day.
work on it. And I just want to say that emotional intimacy has a lot to do with who and what we are, y'all. And a lot of times we struggle with being intimate emotionally because of our past traumas,
Hmm.
our past relationships, our past dealings, our past whatever
Yeah.
situations, things we've gone through. And a lot of times it comes up or it festers, it
Yes.
manifests
Yeah.
in our adulthood and our adult relationships. So if you get nothing else out of this podcast, I'm going to remind you, as we do so often, deal with your past.
Deal with it.
Deal with those traumas, deal with those past relationship issues that whatever for whatever reason you went through, deal with them. Talk about them.
Yes.
Go see a therapist. Do what you have to do the work and heal. When I say heal, that doesn't mean forget, that doesn't mean it erases it. That means acknowledging that it happened and how I can be better because of it.
Right.
And some of those barriers, some of those boundaries and some of those traumas, triggers will subside a little bit because that's hard. That's hard. And a lot of time in my experience, I will say that it was hard for me to be intimate emotionally. And let's just keep it 100. It's much easier to be intimate sexually
Easy.
than it is to be emotionally.
The
And
flesh
I
is
know
something.
that that sounds
The
horrible,
flesh is
but
something
it
though.
is just the truth.
The flesh want what it wants.
Yes. And so it was very hard for me to learn to be open and emotionally intimate with anyone else after going through some of the traumas that I've gone through in my life. And we're talking sexual abuse, we're talking about verbal abuse, emotional abuse, you name it, and I've probably gone through it. But God and an amazing husband who has taken the time to listen. So I say all that to say that we have to do the work. If what you want is a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
with another person or with your family or whatever, whoever, we got to deal with those traumas
And
because you'd be amazed if you address some of your traumas, how healthy some of your relationships would be.
and that's what I was getting ready to say. And we're going to go to some comments in a hot sec, but I just want to say this. There are some people that have went through so many things due to trauma bonds. And we're going to talk about that one day. That's a topic that we're going to
Yeah.
discuss, trauma bonds. A lot of us have gone through things unnecessarily, and we've repeated cycles unnecessarily because of how familiar a thing to was to us, even though the thing was dysfunctional. So we're going to talk about trauma bonds one day, but I want to get to some of these
You got some
comments.
good comments.
Yes. Denise Daniel says, all of us, she's talking about all women. But once we run into a narcissist and they break that trust, we will shut it down.
Yes, Denise. And when you shut it down, unfortunately, for most of us women, we're done. We're not talking about it. You're not getting a chance. And we have our wall up. And a lot of us keep the wall up for a very long time. And it takes a lot to break that wall down.
Right. Something else Denise Daniel says, if you start the relationship off with sex, then you don't set the boundaries or the groundwork. And that is so true. And for men, that's a major thing because I think, hey, when we first look at a woman and we see how fine she is and how she's appealing to us, we ain't thinking up here. I'm gonna just be honest. We're not thinking up here. Not initially. You know what I'm saying? And so for men, we have to get past the point to where even though that might be something that I hate to even say it, may be innately in us to think like that. We got to get past the point of being
But
able to think differently.
at what point, and this is not the topic, or we're not even going to go there long, but I just want to make this statement. At what point do men stop thinking with the head in between their legs and use the head on their shoulder? Like at what point? At what point does it become I'm now mature and I want to yearn for you intellectually, emotionally, and maybe then sexually, like way on down the list? I mean, I think sexual attraction is a
That's a
thing,
thing for
but I'm
both.
also saying like when do men get to where they want to connect on a higher level that doesn't involve sex? And that becomes the most important part.
I know we're not gonna jump into this, but
I
I'm just gonna give
I
a
just had
brief
a
answer.
statement. It wasn't
No,
even a
I
question. It
know,
was a statement.
but I think I just want to retort though. I believe honestly
Retort.
for men, I think it just depends on the man.
This is true. I
I
mean, I
think it
didn't
depends
think
on
if
the
there was
man.
a magic number, but
No,
I just hear from so many women that at what point do men stop playing this game? And I'm sure there's women out there that do that, but at what point?
right.
Conversation topic for another night.
Denise Daniel says, I know at 62, I'm not rationing nothing. I'm out. Daphne Harris says, because many are bringing unpacked trauma from previous relationships into their current situationships or relationships. Sometimes you meet someone who is willing to help you unpack it. And that is the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes.
And then Daphne, sometimes men or women, because this is not a male bashing session. We are so immature as people to where we don't even know how to handle what's being presented to us. And so in some instances, I think that we put ourselves in situation with emotionally immature people and they don't have the tools to even handle what's being presented to them.
Something that Kimio Prophet says is when you are fully surrendered, because God will show you to the point that you understand the consequences. I'm not exactly sure where that came in. There's so many comments that came in so quickly. But you know what, Kimio, I believe that you're right. I believe that you're right in what you said. Damien Standiford says, we don't. Once you choose her, then it's all for her. I believe that.
We don't what?
Once we don't what? Once we don't what? So put that in the comments, Damien, and we'll come back to it. We don't. Once you choose her, then it's all for her. So I want you to just
So he's
elaborate on
saying
that.
once he chooses the female,
Right.
he is then willing
It's
to
all that. It's
it's
everything.
all
He's
in.
all in for her.
But okay, so how do you choose her if you don't know what her baggage looks like?
That's true.
How do you choose her if you don't know emotionally what she's carrying?
And
Because I don't
again,
want to choose you if I don't have any idea of what you're carrying emotionally and you're not willing to either have fixed the problem
right,
or the issue or you willing to work on it.
right. And that's real talk. Because just like Daphne said, a lot of us come into new situations or relationships with old baggage. And if we're being honest, I don't think there's too many people that actually do just take the time once they get out of it to really deal with everything that may have went through prior. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I think that there are some people that will deal with some. You know what I mean? Some of those things. Some of those things I think we put on the back burner and we just, hey, it is what it is, and we just go on. But then something ends up happening in that new relationship, and it triggers that thing that you put on the back burner, and it's like, oh man,
And it's the triggers that cause the problem.
yeah, it's the triggers that cause
It's
the
the
problem.
triggers that cause the problem
Absolutely, I agree with that.
because the situation or the issues hadn't been dealt with.
And it reminds you
Yeah.
of what
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. So some of the things that has been suggested in order to either get to having a more healthy, emotional, intimate relationship is to understand the inner world. So some of the questions or conversation starters that you can use is what is a part of your past you wish I understood more deeply?
Right. Wow.
That can be heavy.
Ooh-wee.
Another one is what's something you've been thinking about that maybe you've been afraid to share?
Look, when we lay down tonight,
Oh, I already got one I wanna ask you.
do not, because I know you get ready to do this. No,
Whatever.
I just want to go to sleep.
What does home mean to you? I like that one because we talk a lot about home. And
Yeah,
so home for me is where I'm safe.
right,
Is where I don't have to be the HR lady, the mom, the sister, I don't have to be anything. I can just be me. I can take off all my hats and just tend and only regard Lisa. So that is what home for me with regard to emotional intimacy, that's where home is for me. So to strengthen your bond, you should also ask questions like, when do you feel most loved and valued by me?
oh yeah,
You love me?
oh my
Why?
God, every day,
Y'all just know.
every day,
It's not every day, but about 3 or 4
girl,
times a week,
girl, cut it
it
out.
I'm gonna ask the question and he needs to have a new answer.
My answer has been the same for
You
7
you
years.
well, sometimes you get deep.
Sometime I
Another
go a little bit
thing,
more in depth.
more questions are, how have we grown together as a couple in this past year? So reflection is always good. Reflect on your relationships. You know, we're still at the beginning of the year. Now is a great time,
Yes.
for individuals to evaluate those relationships you are in.
Right, right,
You know, evaluate, are we doing well? Are we healthy? Are there things we need to work on? And this is a great time because then it's not we're in a heated argument or we're in a disagreement and
right,
now we figure out we need to evaluate.
right.
Evaluate before you even get there. Have the conversation before we get there. I'm suggesting to all my individuals that are online, either in a relationship, in a marriage, something of that nature. Now's the perfect time. You can blame it on us, blame it on the podcast.
Right.
Evaluate your relationship. What's working well for you? What worked well for you in 2025? What things do we need to change in 2026 for us to be more healthy, for us to elevate our relationship and where we
Yeah.
are, for us to go deeper in our intimacy? I
So
pose all that question to all our people in a relationship or a marriage.
yeah, and I think that that's a good thing. Again, at the beginning of the year, and then, once you get into June, July, do a checkup.
Yeah.
Once you get to the end of the year in December, check up again. Okay, well, what are our goals that we are wanting to accomplish together as a couple, going into the next year. Oh yeah, I'm getting ready to go to
Yeah,
these
the
comments. So
response.
Damien says, yes, sir. Well, you should always ask God to show you if she's the one. And when he shows you her, then all that other is all for her. So that's what he means.
Okay. I like that, brother.
My cousin Daphne says, don't y'all forget y'all on live and start acting up and talking crazy. This is us.
Daphne,
This is us.
girl.
This is us. And we all right.
Yeah, always. Always.
We are all right.
Always.
But those questions are some very good questions. And I think that those questions are something that definitely can be utilized throughout the year because again, you want to check. You want to make sure that you guys are in a good place and in a good space. And it doesn't even necessarily again mean that it has to be a relationship. I mean, it could be friendships.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, as friends, I mean, do you feel like, I'm whatever, am I being a good friend to you or is there something that you need from me, as a friend, blah blah blah, or vice versa.
And you know what I've learned is, and as for me, I have a lot of individuals in my life, and all of them have a unique need. And so for me, I have had to learn to navigate
Mhm.
almost like I do my kids. Everybody's needs are different. Everybody wants a different part of me, which in my immature state, I really probably didn't understand.
Mhm.
And I tried to please everybody, like with a blanket
Right.
of happiness or joy or needs or whatever it was they needed. But I've learned that because of what I'm called to do and who I'm called to be, everybody I encounter has a different need.
Right.
And so just be mindful. Everybody's needs are different. I can have a group of how many ever women that I engage with, but each one of them have a need. Each one of them have a tug on me that is different.
Right.
And so I think that we have to, when evaluating people, first of all, I think we overcompensate for the sis thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, we're gonna start 2026 with
Absolutely.
that part. Everybody's
Absolutely.
not your sis.
Or bro.
Everybody's not your friend. Some people are just acquaintances. Some people are just people you talk to, you get along with, that you say, hey, however, whatever.
Learn the difference.
Everybody's not your family.
Learn the difference.
And so let's it took me 49 years almost to get there, but I've learned through
Mhm.
some very tough lessons that everybody has a place,
Yes.
and you have to place them accordingly based off of your emotional state, what you need, and what they're requiring of you.
And it doesn't mean that you are a bad person when you have learned how to qualify them and put them in the places that they need to
Right.
be. For your emotional well-being and your mental state, especially with everything that we're seeing and is going on in the world, you have to be on top
Yeah.
of those types of situations and relationships so that you know how to deal with people. Like there's people right now on this podcast, Tony for one. I talk to Tony probably 3, 4 times a week. Whereas with my brother Damien, I might talk to him maybe twice a month, 3 times a month. It doesn't mean that, love is lost anywhere. That's just,
That's
some people don't
because
require
as
all that.
brothers, y'all know the need.
Yeah.
And you know, and he knows. If you need him,
He
you
can
gonna
call.
call and vice versa. So Chad Cotton, I totally agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Keeping people out
Out
our
of your
relationship.
relationship.
That's another thing that I think emotionally immature people do. We over involve people
Absolutely.
in our relationships,
Absolutely.
be it romantic, be it friendship, be it whatever type of ship it is. We do. We over involve people. So I totally agree with you there. Keep people out your business.
And Cameo says, if I love, that means I want us both to win. It can't be
Yeah.
I. And that we would equate that to marriage or relationships, but that's friendships. That's anything.
Yeah.
That's anything. If I have any type of a level of love for you, I definitely want to see you win. Like for real, for real.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so one of the things that I've learned to do to encourage my husband to be more open and more intimate emotionally is, I always do a self check. And this question kind of sums up the self check, which says, how can I best support you when you're going through a stressful or difficult time? So I don't word it that
Wow.
way, but when
No.
I know that he's off,
What can I do for you?
I always ask him, what can I do for you? I
Y'all,
always say, how can I fix it? Or what is it that you need?
y'all. Can
Always.
can I just say
Because
this?
I can always tell by his behavior something is off.
And I don't be flipping out or nothing.
No, 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 no.
But you know what? The first time that she asked me that, my mind was blown. I don't think people really understand, especially women. I don't really think that they understand how simple men can really be.
And the first couple of times it was nothing. What you mean? I'm good.
I
I'm all
wasn't you
right. What you talking
I
about?
wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to it. And it's no shade to anybody that I've dealt with in the
No,
past. I just
the
wasn't
past is
used
the
to
past.
it. And so when that came up, it blew my mind. Like, oh my God. She is like for real concerned with what it is that I'm dealing with, which was another reason why I
If
was
it's some people
able,
at that job, Imma come on down
you
there. What you
know,
want me to do?
I mean, I was able to, say, you know what? Okay,
Tony, Imma stop
this
cutting up.
this 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 is a real one. Like, because that
Yeah,
don't happen. And it hadn't happened. You know what I mean?
right.
And so, I mean, I think, we both have, and I've taken that cue from you. Typically I can kind of know because you've kind of told me what's going on. But, you know, if you have it, I think I've said it a few times here and there. I haven't really had to say it very much. But yeah, just being truly concerned about the person that you with, man, that's crazy when you're not, to me. So Denise says, when your hearts are truly connected, you know when your mate is off.
You should.
I believe that you should.
Absolutely, Denise.
My cousin Daphne says, and I keep saying my cousin Daphne, it was a defense reaction from him when you initially asked him because he hadn't had anyone care in that way. And
And this is true.
that is 100. That is 100.
And Daphne, that's when you realize that you've grown and entered into a space of emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Emotional intimacy.
A definite defense mechanism. And
Yep.
I mean, you hit it right on the head, Daphne. I mean, I didn't even really even I guess I never even really thought of it in that way, but that's exactly what that was.
So, in my research, guys, it says that research continues to emphasize that emotional intimacy is a primary predictor of relationship
Oh
longevity
my
and
gosh.
individual well being. It serves as the inner glue that helps couples navigate conflict and life stressors. Strong emotional bonds are linked to improved mental health, reduced feelings of isolation, and even enhanced physical outcomes. So, what did y'all just learn? If you don't have emotional intimacy, statistically speaking, your relationship is going to suffer.
Wow.
Your mental health is going to suffer.
Wow.
Your physical health is going to suffer. Emotional intimacy is a need
Yeah.
and it's necessary. So, some things you guys can do to support or encourage your emotional vulnerability, um, emotional intimacy. Sorry, guys. First, share first. Model vulnerability by answering the questions yourself before asking your partner. Listen for understanding, which is focusing on their feelings rather than just facts. Use follow up questions like, what was that like for you?
Hmm.
Respect the pace. If a topic feels too intense, it is okay to pause and return to it later when both people have more emotional capacity. Mix light
Wow.
and deep. Balancing profound questions with playful ones keeps the conversation from feeling like an interrogation.
We do that. We do that.
Psychologists emphasize that For many, this feeling is a protective survival response rather than a character flaw. So, guys, it's necessary.
It's
It's
very
necessary.
necessary.
It's necessary for the health of your relationship.
Cameo says to show empathy, and I think that that's an important trait as well.
Oh, yeah.
Showing empathy, and just being open, being available, not thinking of self,
You took the words out my mouth.
not
It is
thinking of self.
selfless. Being in relation is giving of yourself
Yeah,
and putting the other person before yourself. Because I mean, let's be honest. You go to work all day, you come home. Some days you don't want to hear about the extra, how somebody else feel, but you have to come outside of yourself.
yeah.
Every day you come home, what do I say? How was your day? And the routine is usually, it was fine. It was all right. What'd you eat for lunch?
Why,
I walked to the dollar store and had some chips
why you doing me?
and a
That's not
Pepsi.
cool. That's not cool.
And sometimes I let that slide. But I'll double back later and say, "So how did you say your day was?" And then I get everything. Because he doesn't wanna talk when he gets home from work. He
I
he
like to,
don't want me coming and asking him because I hit him right when he come in the door. So timing is everything. I'll say that as well. Timing is everything. When you come home, you don't wanna talk, but I'm gonna say it anyway because that's what I do.
right.
And then about 9 o'clock, after his wrestling and a Pepsi and dinner, he's ready to talk.
Wow.
So
Some
timing's everything, y'all.
some people just like to
And respect.
decompress.
Yes,
Yes.
and I always go back to I have to yet remember that I am a born communicator. I am just a born communicator. And when given the proper space, it comes naturally for me.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
not the
true.
case for everybody.
That's true.
So being respectful of your partners or your friends' perspective on communication. And I think it works out.
I believe it works out as well. So we getting ready to wrap up because we really just try to stay within a certain time frame. But I just want to put these out there, key aspects of intimacy, and we've kind of talked about some of these already. Emotional intimacy, as we know, you sharing your feelings, building trust, and you're understanding each other deeply. And that's pretty much what we've been talking about
Yeah.
most of tonight. Physical intimacy, of course, that's your cuddling, your hugging, your sexual connection, or any comfortable physical touch. Intellectual intimacy, where you share your ideas and beliefs and you're understanding each other's perspectives, which is major.
Hold that thought.
All right.
I just wanna say this, just for the record, men, I'm putting y'all up on a little T. When you provide the space for emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy will not be an issue. There you have it.
Did y'all hear
I just put
that?
y'all up on game.
Did y'all hear that?
When she feels safe emotionally to be intimate with you, sexual intimacy will not be an issue. So for all y'all struggling, I just put y'all up on game. I gave y'all the tea.
It's a fact. Ask me how I know.
We grown.
We
I'm
grown.
just telling you.
We grown. Ask me how I know. It works. Don't be doing
Keep going
me.
on with your
Hold on
comment.
now, because I got some comments. I got some comments, but I gotta let me say this last piece, this last key of intimacy, and I'm gonna go to these comments and then we're gonna close out. The last one is the spiritual intimacy piece. And that's connecting on a deeper spiritual level, though not always religious.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother ball game because then I get to talking about soul ties and stuff like that, and I don't want to do
It's
that.
not today's
That's
topic.
not today's topic. So I'm gonna just run through a few more comments, and we gonna get out of here. Damien says, and after that, if possible, go talk to a professional to help both of you get through it. And that's
Yeah.
just different things you definitely
Therapy is
want to do.
good.
Therapy is good.
We encourage therapy on this podcast. Therapy is good.
Daphne says men need time to unwind from the day versus being hit with the questions or rundown.
Girl, I'm gonna ask questions.
She gonna ask, and that's true. Oh, little bro's on here. Chantel says he is here for the grown folks couple talk.
Come on
Thank
in,
you for
brother.
coming in, Shaw. We appreciate you. Denise, she says true. And I guess what you said hit it on the head because Cameo says boom. And of course, Daphne is laughing. But again, we're not professionals. We know what works for us, but I think that there are things that we can share that may work for other people. And that's why we're doing what we do. That's why we enjoy doing what we do. Every second and fourth Sunday night at 7 o'clock, we are here. And there are many facets to this conversations that we've never had series. And we're not gonna go through all of them, to be honest with you. I think what we may do is we might hit maybe 2 or 3, of these conversations. But if you guys decide that you like the information and you want more, then we got plenty.
And we're always open to suggestions.
Always
We're
open to
always open to
suggestions.
suggestions. Our next podcast will be Sunday, January 25th at 7 p.m. We will get something out so that you guys will know the topic here in a couple of days. But as always, we appreciate you guys coming on, chiming in with us, conversing with us, because it makes this so much easier when we have people joining us and commenting and keeping us laughing. But we always gonna give it to y'all real.
Yeah. That was the reason why we wanted to do it. Just we wanted to have real talk, grown folk talk,
Yeah.
and be straight with everybody. And you know, by no means are we goals. Again, what works for us works for us. But I
And
think
we are always working on us.
always. And so we want to encourage everybody else to do the same. Just continue to work on yourself individually. And if you have a spouse or significant other or whatever, even your friendships, work on them collectively. That's the currency. That's the currency
Yeah.
that we have in this life. We won't be able to take none of the cars, money, jewelry, none of that stuff. But our friendships and our relationships, that's the real currency. That's where our real wealth comes in. So until next time,
Have an amazing week.
and y'all take care.